All right, so today we're going to be talking about the planer, or not the planer, the joiner. I apologize. Anyways, basically what this is, it has a round cutter head. It's similar to what the planer does, but the joiner actually joins the edge of the boards. Now you can face plane boards from when they're rough cut to get it to a flat surface, or you can run it through the planer. I already have a board that I've already ran through the planer, and both sides have already been ran through the planer, so it's square as far as this right here on top, and it's flat, or it's parallel. So these two sides are equal, so they're not cockeyed or offset or anything like that. So next, what I want to do is on this edge, I want to make sure that this edge is actually squared to one of these faces. So this is what that machine does. So the rule of thumb is the same thing with the planer itself too. If this board is shorter than 12 inches, you can't run it through here. All right, it's just not safe. Just with the distance and everything when you're using this machine, it's just not safe to run it through. If it's shorter than 12 inches, just with the way that you use this, you know, it's just not safe or practical, because you won't be able to get the proper leverage or pressure on it, and then your hands will be too close to the blade. So 12 inches long is the minimum when using this machine. Now, if you see right here, this is the fence, all right? So the minimum, if that board is shorter than this fence, which this is 4 inches, then you can't use it. So it's too thin, all right? The width of it isn't thick enough to use this machine on, especially on here. This is the guard, so it actually covers the cutter heads. It's on the cylinder, and so it's just straight edge blades that spin very, very fast, and it'll chip it out. So once you have one side playing, all right, you'll actually be pushing, all right, with your hands, just like this. It's pressing up against the back, trying to get it as square as possible. And it'll go over the cutter head and then out through the outfeed table. So one thing you do need to understand is that this back feed table is actually the same height as the tip of that blade, and the infeed table is actually lower. All right, it's lower by 1/16 of an inch, because that's what it's going to take off. So before I actually use the joiner and everything, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the dust collection system. It's the same thing with the planer too. If dust and everything gets caught up in here, it's going to gum up the machine, and it's going to compress that sawdust, and either it could start a fire because of the friction, or it could start damaging the blade, or it's going to start sending wood chips out. So anytime that you're using a lot of the machines in here, yes, you need to have safety glasses on, but also you need to make sure that the dust system is on too, as well. So I'm going to go turn that on, and I'm going to mute my mic, and I'll show you how to use this. Safety glasses on. Pull my board off the machine, I turn it on, let it get up to speed, turn it back, press it down, in, going slow, you can hear it shifting. All right, so now that I've turned off the dust system and everything, is why I'm using this board. You notice, I'm making sure it's flat up against this fence, pushing, allowing it to cut, just going slow. And what that does is make sure that this back face or this front face is squared to this edge. So when I take my square, I can take my little framing square, and I can set it on here. It's going to show that these two sides, all right, are 90 degrees, so it's a square board now. If it wasn't, this bottom side is going to be a little crooked, something like this, and so that's what the joiner is going to do. So it's going to join that to make sure that it's 90 degrees. So now that this board is 90 degrees, then I can start running through the table saw on that. So the main use for the joiner as well as the planer is if you have rough cut lumber, you're milling it down so it's S4S, which is surface forward side. So the top face, this side, left side, right side, and then the bottom side. So if it's S4S, and you know it's a square piece of board, so whenever you start cutting or you're assembling, it makes it a little easier, whether if you're building cabinets or just a small little box, jewelry box, a stool. You want to make sure that everything is S4S depending on what you're building. Also with the joiner, what this is good for, if you only have a board that's this wide, you join one edge, you join another edge of the opposite board, and what you can do with that, since it's two flat surfaces, then you can glue and clamp them together to extend the width.